Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 13 of Illium, our modded CS1 build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Last episode, we pushed on in population growth with a little luxury hillside suburb made of mid-century modern, which sits very proudly looking across all of Illium, doesn't it? And speaking of all of Illium, the city is massive now, and we can really see our downtown space beginning to carve itself out, with all these builds starting to surround it. And I want to get started on downtown sooner rather than later in Illium, I think. However, in today's episode, the city is screaming for industrial demand, and we haven't really built any since episode 2, when we did the port on the other side of the river. So here I'm thinking factories, distribution centres, warehouses and sub-buildings. This is definitely part of the downtown here, but certainly a more industrial side of it. But either way, happy Monday to you all, and welcome back to Illium, everyone. So first of all, let's open up our tile. So I was debating this one last episode, but our next tile is only 4,000 pretty much population away. So that's not too much of an issue. We don't have to worry about wasting this tile too much. We can certainly squeeze in another 4,000 people within the spaces we have over here. So terrain is also a challenge here. We can see it rising quite significantly around the foot of the mountain we've been working on. But if I'm placing big industrial buildings here, I don't want lots of gnarly terrain. But I would like this to be slightly elevated, almost so it kind of looks over the downtown this direction, you know? So I will respect some layerage. Maybe up to where this road almost peaks, say about here. Where does that leave us kind of this way? It's quite high, that, isn't it? I think I'm going to go with it though. We'll blend it in. The terrain police might be a touch triggered today, but I will pay my debts. I promise. I'll make it look alright, I'll make it work. But I need the flat space here. So I'll bring it up, we'll deal with this very harsh edge, but we'll kind of blend this back down into the suburb we built last episode, Plymouth Slopes. Cool, so this area should be mostly happy. I think what I'm also going to do is probably slow this entire couplet system down, like we've been doing the last few episodes as well. I do like that it's highway and acts as a bit of high speed, but there's going to be tons of industrial traffic coming down here, and we also have this to deal with, which is probably going to be redeveloped into an interchange because industrial traffic will knacker this. This isn't an outside connection. This actually heads all the way around to the highway over here. So it's not too busy, but the other directions off of it are outside connections, so a bit of future planning needed, I think. And we'll clear up our forest as well. So I'm going to use the factories we've already got unlocked. Now we have a few with them. We have seafood factories. So I think what I actually will start doing is just place all these down, because we're going to have obviously some sort of big factory complex fusing today. So we have seafood, wood vision, which I've already used, haven't I? Now, because we're modded, we can duplicate factories, but that really begins to destroy the economic simulation, because it just, well, you earn vast amounts of money basically, but I guess we already do anyway in vanilla, don't we? So it's not too much of an issue. I'll try avoid duplicate factories though, unless I absolutely need a wood vision, for example. We also have the printing press, the soft paper factory, and the lemonade. Cool. So that's quite the chungus there, isn't it? Now to supply these, we're already producing paper. Plastic is needed twice, 3 times, as is petroleum, plus crops. And then plastic again, plus glass and metal. So we'll have to do some importing of those goods, I think. But I'm going to start by downgrading all of this into 3-lane 1-way road. It's funny when it's that close, it actually looks like just one single network, doesn't it? Like a 6-lane road, which I guess it essentially is. So we're going to need to have imported resources coming in here, because we don't obviously have an oil refinery yet. So I think we'll have the entrance into this distribution factory center, which is, I guess, what today's build is. I'm going to use the oil gates and the ore gates as entrances into the facility, if you like. So we'll have this here. Now we do actually have oil here to extract ourselves. I don't really want oil derricks this close to downtown, to be honest. That deserves to be much further out than this. So I think initially I'm just going to rely on imported oil, which might produce more traffic, but eventually we will have our own oil production. So I can come back to that then and it'll hopefully calm down. We hope. Anyway, let's sketch our concrete down, of course. So that's our oil building, which means we can now draw the area out and place plastic and petroleum buildings within this as well. And there you go, there's petroleum. We can't produce plastic yet, can we? What do we need for that? Where's the first plastic building? Petrochemical plant at level 2. Okay, we might have to do a little bit of cheese in here then, just to get it to level 2. And thankfully there's oil literally right here, so I'm just going to place 5 derricks down. And they will tick us over those resource and employee milestones. I wouldn't also mind some further supplementary oil vibes in here as well, so I'll stick down one of the tank silos as well. Probably blending it into a factory. Super, but we also need ore processing buildings here as well, because what was it we needed? Glass and metal. So we're going to be importing ore again, and I think I'll have another road come up this way, not into a tunnel though, goodness. And then with another entrance down here, I think what I'm almost going to treat it as is like an auxiliary entrance into the site, using the ore gate at least. So redraw that there as well as some good segments there. There we go. And then our little secondary entrance will be the ore building, which again, we might need to do a touch of cheesing here, but thankfully Teddy has left us some quite handy resource pockets around here, so it shouldn't be an issue. And again, same vibe. I'll probably have to do some more specific zone style stuff here to get these two to mix, but we should be okay. Green mining is in, which means we can now produce metal at the ore grinding mill. And I guess we'll need level 2 for the first glass building, yeah, which is to be the glass manufacturing plant. So to achieve that again, I'm just going to run building up here. I'll stick a couple of mines down so we can begin to tick over these thresholds up to level 2. And then I will see you there. Actually, let's also have a look at our sub-buildings first of all, while they are ticking along. So sub-buildings can be very powerful with Find It, especially with Anarchy as well, so you can place them where you like. So we'll pull up our Find It filters and we'll go for sub-buildings. And then I'm pretty sure if we search for warehouse, yes, there we go. We can place these, which are just different sections of the large warehouses, which can be fused together in different combinations to create custom ones. But essentially just to create a distribution vibe is really what they're there for. But we will also use, I was thinking train. How easy is it to prepare a train line out of here? There's national lines right here. We wouldn't be able to hook it in today till that tile opens. But I think I could probably prepare the connection. I think for some reason with Move It and Anarchy available, I can envision almost the train kind of pulling out from in between the fused factories, like the train is pulling into the factory itself. I think that might be something we can do. But that's pretty much what we will use here in various different combinations, and we'll probably get some Industrial Evolution into. But I'll let both of these areas tick up to level 2, so we can start our factory complex here. So all the industrial traffic is currently barreling down the highway because it's only connected in one side, which is fine. We'll address a proper entrance here in a second. But both of our areas are now at level 2, so we can place in the final buildings we need, which will be glass manufacturing plant. How much glass do we need? Just one factory wants glass, is it? Okay, and quite a bit of plastic as well. So we'll probably do, let's say, let's start with 2 petrochemical plants, and we'll see how that does. Cool. So let's start piecing this big jigsaw together. Orientation of this facility is also going to be quite important for how I want it to look, kind of approaching this bit of the town here, as you're kind of driving past it. So the soft paper factory is obviously the chungus of the episode. And I want to kind of have this one quite centrally, and also have the rail warehouse tied into this as well. But what orientation? The rail has to go this way, which means we'll need a road. I wonder what's the shortest connection I can get away counts as connected there, does it? Okay, I'm happy with that then. I'll move my sub-building, we'll get onto the warehouses a little bit later. And then our train line. I can just see this heading straight out there. Now we can use Network Multi-Tool to unlock that. Unless I'd prefer it at that angle, would I? It's a possibility, maybe. Try both, I think, see which one resonates with me the most. I think this one, just because I want the visual of those cargo trains coming in and out of the factory complex on that big straight line. So I think I'll probably do this way. The layers are also more severe here as well, which means that we can actually prepare quite easily for a bridge to just pass over the highway here. Of course, can't do it today because tile boundaries out, but that'll be a 25 tile connection, I imagine. No, we don't need this here either. But maybe I could pull this off into a bit of a rail yard aesthetic, maybe. It's a very short rail yard, isn't it? Maybe. I'll leave it there. I'll see how it grows on me throughout the episode. In terms of what you can store here, we might as well go over something that's being produced. We said there's a lot of plastic needed, so we might as well fill it up here. So with that in, I now know I want the lemonade factory to essentially emanate from the back of the soft paper. We'll have that in there. We are clipping a little bit. Suppose I'll join it at that junction there, then just in the bottom left here. Decide on that splicing. But primarily the visual you get in there as you're driving past this massive site, right, is that it's one continual building. I'm going to be happy with that, I think. But we will certainly have rail crossings in the industrial site. We'll also give this its road connection. And then we can possibly line up some further factories along here. Might not use all of them. I think the printing press might be a bit the wrong style here. I'm not really after red brick. I'm after more massive, mass manufactured industry than old school sort of vibes, I think. So I think I'd love to try and fuse this again as well. I'm going to bring Bob in. We'll grab Bob. We'll tell him to remove those tree variants off the side. Cool. That gets rid of those little tree spots. And then I wonder if I can almost extend the site further by adding in the seafood factory here too. That door on the lemonade factory almost frames perfectly with the gate there, doesn't it? Yeah, that doesn't leave any awkwardness around here either. Okay, we'll go for that as well then. Give it its road connection. Should be fine. And we'll also bring a box and an edge to the facility here as well. Cool. So loads of little detailable spaces all waiting around here now. And so in terms of our processing, I'm just going to delete that sub-building. I'll bring it back in a second. There's some nice little gaps here in the soft paper factory, isn't there? So let's bring this up. Now we're relying on oil imports to supply this, of course. We'll have it there so it's connected. And then we'll bring the other one in somewhere about there. As long as it's connected, I'm happy. And then this other one can come in. Might even have two of these. The sludge pyrolysis plants. Give it a little 90 degrees again as well. And then we can just have this little batch of processing within the factory itself. Concrete all that up. Turn it into kind of workers' space where you can imagine them walking through to attend different sites and silos in the grander scale of these sort of big factories here, right? I really like that already. Soft paper factory is such a cool building, isn't it? So better like that. I'm very happy with the more sort of, I guess, smokestack aesthetic, really. We also have our crude tank farm, which actually looks like it might sit and fit quite nicely just next door to the rail warehouse there. And this road, I probably won't bring up further, but we'll drop in some concrete slabs here. Not everywhere. I'll try and leave some little overgrown industrial spaces. I'll probably even feed a pathway there as well, just so we can see kind of like workers walking in and around the grounds of this, right? You're not connected anymore? No, did I just lose your connection, did I? Well, it's not connected down there. Okay, we do need that to be much longer then. Maybe it didn't lose its connection after all. We'll go with that instead then. Super. So now the ore buildings, which we don't need a ton of, did we? No, just glass and metal for one factory. I think these might look quite nice in a bit of a dirty area of the factory. Maybe here by the oil tanks, actually. That's interesting. He actually doesn't care if I drag him into the oil area. He's still going to work. You still have workers. Oil's definitely being delivered. I guess we should really factor in some ore storage as well, shouldn't we? Which I'm very happy to have, because the visual of piled aggregate is always a firm favourite in an industrial area for me. And again, it's going to be a nice drive-by as well. And this will create pretty horrific traffic until they do... Yeah, there we go. They just delivered to it. Okay, so I didn't know that. You can drag other industrial buildings into other industrial areas, and they seemingly don't care. Yeah, it's still counting total workers as well. 64 at both sites. Well, collectively anyway. Cool. Then a little bit there, and then we'll bring in some of that kind of dirty industrial scrubland where kind of got lots of props and whatnot, some fencing in here as well. And lots of dirt and dust, etc. Cool. But remember in the visual I wanted here as well, I wanted the train line to be framed by larger buildings. So I think this is where we'll bring our warehouses into the equation. I would like to go for largest. Ooh, which you won't fit there. Not with the rail yard, which I'm not massively precious about anyway. I'm going to move that connection as well. And then we'll have our first Chungus warehouse. Maybe 3. 3 is very dramatic, very big. I'm not sure how fusible these are because of the fencing on the side of them. I'll try it. It might look a bit... There's probably some fused jank, I imagine, especially here. Yeah, but that's what I wanted there, right? So when this train comes in however many episodes' time, it'll just be passing through the middle of all this industrial infrastructure. I don't think I like 3 of them. I think 3 is just a bit too much, isn't it? I want 2, because I definitely want chunky vibes. But I think we'll change the orientation as the rail crossing comes in. We'll bring that down, and then we'll have a medium here instead. Yeah. I think that's a bit more palatable, isn't it? 3 large warehouses. I mean, distribution centres are big. But that is taking up an awful lot of space there, I think, isn't it? I think what I'm also going to do with these aggregate piles is just bump them onto their own road as well. Just so they're not stopping and loading on the through road that comes through the factory. Otherwise, that'll probably give us issues down the line. Ran into a similar problem in the port, actually. So I'll push that up. Don't worry about terrain jank, that's fine. Might even make that dirt road, actually. Yeah, something like that will work for me, I think. And then we'll just centralise as best we can. Already that starts to look like quite the site, isn't it? These big, long, chunky industrial buildings. So much more freedom with the mods available as well, of course. Super, so I'm liking the look of this. We'll keep letting the game run. And seeing how everyone delivers here. Let's actually set storage. So we'll do... What do we have there? Plastic is at the train warehouse. And then we'll store metal in the one next door. And you can do plain timber. Which we are producing ourselves, of course. So far, this has actually managed to receive most of its deliveries bar the crops. So we can place down some crop silos. I'm going to have to place a temporary farm. Just randomly. You can now ignore it. And then it's the small grain silos I want, which are very discreet little assets. And I think well, we've already got some siloage here. Wouldn't mind possibly trying to blend it in. How far can we get you off the road? Oh, quite far, actually. Okay, well, that works for me. That's quite happy there. And that'll supply crops for soft paper factory as well. You guys, oh, wrong area type. There you go. Now you're complaining. Okay, so ignore that advice earlier, everyone. That doesn't work. We'll just drag the ore area out into the oil. There we go. So quite a interesting shape, isn't it? But we'll look over that. Super. So let's address these little road networks here, so they can actually go both ways. So we'll go with a couple of roundabouts here, using pretty much. Maybe drag that node back a little bit actually. Cool. We use our 3-lane one-way roundabout. I often get people asking why I don't use roundabout builder. I just prefer to build them myself. Really, but we'll do a 6 deep roundabout here. Something to that extent should see us through. Let's give this a little bit of the service painter as well. Not that one there. We'll go for gravel. I'm just going to push that green node a touch back as well. Just open that up. So that should stop them all barreling down downtown highway. As everyone's currently importing here, we can see how much industrial traffic we've got. Then they're all coming up here to import. But now they can access both ways. So hopefully they'll start using this way as well. And I think we'll do a smaller, more discreet roundabout down here. So that should give us much better industrial access to the highway networks here. I'm also going to grab all nodes on the highway and set to a uniform height. Same over here again as well. So they'll go around on their merry way as our corporate system evolves. So I think that leaves us a good point for a detailed time-lapse. I also mentioned I wanted some zoned industry in here as well, so I'm going to do some plopping of industrial evolution, avoiding the red brick buildings where I can. Again, this is a much more kind of modern industrial processing site. So the terrain around it, reblend it in, bring in the forest, tons of prop work in amongst all these little spaces we've got. And quite a bit of fencing as well, I imagine, as we work on this big factory distribution detailing. But grab some snacks, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, let's have a little detailing review, shall we? We'll start down this end of the facility where we've added in a combination of industrial evolution. It's a warehouse fused into the back of a more kind of distribution looking building, which I think is a nice little combo for industrial evolution, and packing quite a lot of industrial zoning in there as well, which is helping our simulation of course. There's some parking and surfaces outside as always, and then also during some of the plazas and promenades vans, almost as if it's a delivery fleet parked up, some of them missing of course in the rows where they're parked. In the silos, fenced this area off, added in some supplementary props, little swinging fence to close shut the gate, which really complements the silos on the lemonade factory, doesn't it? Really nice blend in that. There's plenty of these all around the factories. And this one works heading into that direction, extended the concrete out here with more containers and props, just to really open up these yards that are present all on the side of these buildings. But I really like how all this fusion turned out here, this view in particular. It might be one of my favourites. Definitely the best industrial site in the city so far. Over here we have all our flowing, complex vibes of course between the oil processing. And then also threw in our power plants over here. We have 8 of them, but only 4 of them are turned on at the minute. You can see the ones that aren't functioning. So every time we hit power, exactly the same with our sewage plant, we can just come and turn one of these on. And that should see us through to an eventual dedicated power plant build that'll supply the whole city, at least I think of course. But the geothermals blend in very nice with the factory vibes, don't they? It's more steam and smokestack and fence and gate and industrial vent vibes, isn't it? Reprocessed all of the garbage collection here. We had 3 recycling centres sat on this road. So just put that down to 1 and then also upgraded to a Sunset Harbour garbage processing combination. Which is quite nice. Did initially have a fire helicopter depot here, but ended up removing it for the power plants instead. But again, it sits just very nicely, doesn't it? In and around all of these other industrial combination buildings. Part of the same facility. There's props in and around all of our ore buildings here. Stuff's being processed to be then stored in the warehouses. Surface painted. And boxed in all the aggregate storage here with a little supplementary entrance office space behind the main building over here. And then also doing loads of overgrowth, fence and surface paint against the rail line where we will have cargo trains coming and going from here one day. And then also dedicate a bit of concrete space that just opens it up to the back of the warehouse, almost as if workers are kind of accessing the other warehouse from here, right? So kind of factoring little spaces like that I think worked out quite nicely. There's a retaining wall and lots of surface paint to work on the couplet system that is now embedded into the roundabouts, of course, which is getting some nice usage, nice flow, sensible gradients all the way up here. To some master staff car parking by the entrance, also a Japanese office with some basic detail out the front just as a bit of administration alongside our ore building, or oil, which of course both of these will continue to change as they level up their areas, but they probably won't go much higher than this. Do have room to expand this site if we want, but I'm probably happy with the size of it. And then beyond that, our roundabout systems did a little bit of a hill here, just so it's slightly more detailed. And we'll certainly have other exits here, I think, between this roundabout and this one. Just so there's more ways into the downtown, because our downtown road network frame is going to occupy pretty much this entire space right here, right? So we'll definitely have more ways down onto this. I've also slowed down this entire road now. It's slow road all the way through. Which has really helped the traffic coming through here. But yeah, we'll get stuck into amending a lot of this stuff in our downtown episode. Road frame, of course, which isn't too far away now, I don't think. But otherwise, some chunky industrial land ticked off for the city today. I hope you managed to find it inspiring. You can do so much with official assets. Didn't actually end up using the warehouse sub-buildings, but I think the warehouse we had in do a good enough job of creating that visual for us at least. Shout out to the YouTube members and patrons that support these videos with a real call to our golden patron Eggs Casino, Spartan Angel, Michael W, Bad Wolf, Phoenix MD, Blythe, Jamin, and Great T. Go and get involved in that, links down to Patreon and Instant Gaming, best ways to support the channel. And a like for free does wonders for these videos. Enjoy the cinematics and I'll catch you next episode. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.